Most of us get into real estate by starting small, learning the ins and outs, and then continuing to grow from there. For investors, this often means purchasing their first single-family home, then a similar size rental, and then maybe investing in some small multi-unit buildings. And all the while, it's still a very humble enterprise that feels a bit more like a side hustle that mostly supplements their existing income. Because of this, it's not uncommon for us to find out when onboarding them as a new client that all of their current properties are held in their own personal name. Hi everyone, this is Brandon with Coastline Equity, a property management company based out here in Southern California. And in this video, we want to talk about why it might be a good idea to start owning properties not under your own personal name, but under a separate limited liability company or LLC, particularly if you're thinking about growing further into larger multifamily buildings or even assets such as retail or industrial properties. Now, before we get started, we should note that this video is meant to provide some perspective from a company that has worked alongside investors for over 40 years and specializes in property management. But it's still essential to consult your own tax professional and/or attorney in order to find the best way for you to organize your unique real estate business. With that said, in a nutshell, a limited liability company or LLC is a legal entity that you set up and, in the case of real estate, owns your properties. Instead of making their rent payments to you under your name, tenants will make their payments to the name of your LLC, giving you a layer of anonymity. More importantly, though, is the fact that forming an LLC means that you and your company are legally viewed as two separate entities. As the name Limited Liability suggests, the biggest advantage of this is that it protects you from liability. For example, if you own your property under your name as a sole proprietor, which is the default legal structure given to those that don't create a separate entity, you would be personally named in a lawsuit that was brought on by someone such as a tenant or a contractor that was hurt while visiting your property. Their attorney would be able to not just go after your building, but also any personal assets that you own, such as your home or personal bank account. However, if an LLC owns the property, they can only pursue any assets that are held by the LLC, which effectively puts a protective barrier in front of you and your personal assets. Another thing to note about LLCs is that as you expand your real estate investments, you can create an LLC for each additional property that you acquire. This allows you to have an extensive portfolio of buildings that are all owned by you, but legally seen as separate businesses. If, for instance, a tenant makes a legal claim against the property that they live in, their claim for damages ends at that building, and they cannot pursue any other properties for compensation. We've seen this strategy used by our clients, particularly when buying large assets for relatively short periods of time. Not only did this help by adding a layer of protection for an investment strategy that was very dynamic and involved a lot of construction or remodeling, but it also helped to keep the finances and the business plan for each building separate, making the process of buying and selling, as well as taxes, much cleaner. Also, here are two additional benefits that are worth mentioning about LLCs. The first is that mortgage lenders sometimes offer better terms and interest rates for loans given to registered companies. But bear in mind that this generally refers to loans for commercial real estate, as in properties with 5 or more units. The second is that an LLC can be formed in a state other than the one that you're living in, which can sometimes lead to additional benefits and more relaxed LLC laws. Wyoming, Nevada, and Delaware, for example, are known to have lower startup costs, certain tax advantages, and a greater level of anonymity when it comes to people trying to find out who actually owns your property. Now, some investors ask if they can remain as a sole proprietorship and then just simply utilize an extensive insurance policy for protection. After all, operating an LLC does involve some startup costs and recurring costs. Now, while this is possible, and you should consult a tax professional for your specific situation, just be aware that liability insurance policies do have exceptions and limits to the protection that they offer you. Utilizing an LLC is often done in conjunction with an insurance policy and would offer yet another level of protection for you and your investments. Most importantly, because of that separation that it creates between you and your personal assets. If all of that sounds appealing to you, there are ways for you to move the properties that you currently hold under your own name into an LLC, or you can acquire future properties using that structure. But also consider that your current real estate business might not yet be profitable enough to justify the costs associated with an LLC. So take a close look at your finances and speak to a tax professional or attorney about your specific situation in order to find out if setting up an LLC would be a smart move for you. The level of protection and organization that it provides can end up being very helpful to you on your real estate journey. But did we miss anything about LLCs? Do you have any particular strategies for organizing your real estate investments? Let us know down in the comments below, and if you got any value out of this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing, as it really helps us support our channel and create more content. From all of us here at Cosign Equity, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.